Welcome to Marseille. Ahead of us tonight, the highlight of the autumn series of internationals. France against the All Blacks. Good evening, I'm Martin Gillingham. The best Test rugby the autumn has to offer here on ESPN. And Jamie Salmon, would it be fair to say that on the strength of the form of the past month, this is the clash of the strongest side from the Southern Hemisphere against the best from the North?
Yes, I'd very much agree. They're both unbeaten for a start. So, as you rightly say, we're in for a huge game here in Marseille this evening. It's very much winner take all.
Well, Dan Carter said in the run-up to this match that it will make or break their season. That's how much this contest means to New Zealand. Marc Livremont starting 15 features 11 of the side, which started when France beat the All Blacks in Dunedin during the summer. There are significant absentees, though, from the team which beat the Springboks in Toulouse. There's a remodelled back row. Louis Picamol, Himenal, Haranordaki are injured. In come Julien Bonner and Fulgence Ouedraogo. There is a referee for tonight, Alan Roland of Ireland, a man fluent in both languages required tonight. Well, I mentioned that remodel back row for France. How significant for you, Jamie, will be the absence of Picamol and Haranordaki?
I think it'll be very significant in terms of the physicality of it. They had great presence to that back row, the Picamols and Haranordaki. Both were very impressive 2 weeks ago against South Africa, and this rearranged back row has got a massive job on their hands this evening.
Francois Tranduc, the France fly half, will get us underway.
Okay, we're good to go.
Tranduc, his career highlight, came against New Zealand in Dunedin in the summer when he beat 5 tackles to score the first try in that remarkable 27-22 victory for the French. Jimmy Cowan. Dan Carter, an early touch on his return to southern France. Here's Damien Traille playing at fullback tonight, as he has done in his last 2 internationals. Dupuis going hard and straight there. Sébastien Chabal taking his place in the second row. As you can see, the All Blacks wearing white tonight. That's been a talking point over the course of the week.
Yes, it certainly has. And Chabal and Damien Traille both got early touches, which is important for France. They're both very much confidence players. And this crowd is very expectant of a great French performance. First mistake by the French gives the first scrum, and I think the scrum is going to be a very interesting facet as well, because Fabien Barcella, the loose head for France, has got a reputation that is growing by each match. And up against him tonight is Tialata on the tight head for New Zealand, and I expect some fireworks in the scrummaging tonight.
Another of the question marks will be that of fatigue. Will that, or will it not be, a factor for the All Blacks? The good news for Graham Henry, he had all 34 squad members to choose from tonight, and this for the first time on this tour, which started with a Bledisloe Cup match in Tokyo against Australia, of course, before moving on to Europe, is the first time Henry has picked what he views to be his strongest side.
Interesting. New Zealand are getting very close. There they go. That's Barcella and Tialata. We thought that might be the side that caused a bit of interest, and straight away it is. Tialata's getting very, very close. Alain Roland already come on this side of the scrum. That's the other side with Marcanet, last week's captain. But Alain Roland has spotted this already, that this is the area that he's got to keep a close eye on.
Yes, you can see them popping up a bit, can't you? Nimir, Tialata and Fabien Barcella. And Barcella punching the sky. That's how much it means to this front row. Look at them, Marcanet and Barcella.
Well, Servat's not exactly quietly emotional either in the front row, I have to say. But first blood really to France. They absolutely, it was New Zealand put in as well, of course. So they've gone shooting back. Richie McCaw's had a word with the referee, which won't be the last time he has a word with the referee. But look at Barcella, that's the pressure. Tialata stands up. That's what the penalty's for, even though they got the ball back. Servat, his hooker, says thank you very much. And France feel very much in the game.
Well, you mentioned William Servat. It's not that often that Graham Henry responds to comments from the opposing camp, but earlier this week, Henry bit when Servat claimed from their training base just outside Paris that the All Blacks showed a lack of respect when they lost in Dunedin. Julien Dupuis, formerly of Leicester Tigers. Against the background of quite a din at the Velodrome, and Dupuis is on target.
Well, they brought this match here to Marseille to create exactly this sort of atmosphere. They feel it gives them a better chance of winning, just like 2 weeks ago in Toulouse, where South Africa were the visitors. They've given up the commercial side of things and the extra tickets that Stade de France will create, and this is what they want. They want a madhouse here in Marseille.
Well, it's the 10th time France have played a test match here at the Velodrome. They've won 9 of them. The only one they lost, by the way, 5 years ago against Argentina, and the first of those 10 test matches against New Zealand. France winning 42-33. That was 9 years ago. An early touch there for Sivivatu. That's Conrad Smith over halfway, spinning through the tackle. Eventually it's the captain who takes them down. They're getting hit hard. There was Tom Donnelly, the Otago Highlander. Cowan offloads. Brad Thorne, a former rugby league player. And Cowan, was that a nudge forward? The referee says not. But France at the moment all over the All Blacks.
Well, they missed a couple of tackles initially on Conrad Smith on the far side, but since then they've moved New Zealand backwards. First line out of the game. Servat's normally pretty reliable. Different line out, no line on Nale, which I think will make a difference. Chabal isn't, renowned for his line out play. He'll jump at the front, and straight away they do just get it, but not exactly cleanly.
Well, it popped into the hands there of Fulgence Ouedraogo. Julien Bonner, his inclusion also offers another line-out option for the French tonight. The ball being held in the tackle by France.
Well, the breakdown is another area, and France just lacking in numbers. And when you're taking on the likes of Richie McCaw and Kieran Reid in that area, you've got to get numbers there. Tialata slow to get up. Here's Dan Carter. I haven't mentioned Dan Carter, but I dare say he'll have a big bearing of the game. Not his longest kick, but he's found his touch. And the one thing you know about Dan Carter, he'll stay pretty cool. Despite what's going on around him, despite the noise of the crowd, Dan Carter has this huge ability to stay cool under pressure and realise his role at number 10. Tialata in trouble by looks of things. He was slow up, as we said, but he's soldiering on. Not sure he wants to scrum at the moment, but he's happy to go to a line-out.
So Andrew Hoare of Taranaki. That's Brad Thorne. Played rugby league for Australia. Goes to Kaino at the back. It's a terrific break. Nonu going straight for the post, 3 metres out. The All Blacks, what a start from New Zealand. There's Hoare. Julian Bonner in with the tackle there, but New Zealand still have it. They've got options left and right. Slightly untidy ball. And New Zealand concede 3 or 4 metres. Well, that was a dangerous moment for France, and it hasn't passed. There's Jimmy Cowan. The long spin. There's Sivivatu for the line. It's the first try, and we've only been playing 7 minutes.
Well, it all started when New Zealand showed they'd done a bit of research during the week, and they attacked the Tranduk channel at fly half, and that created the panic in the French defence, and this is the result of it in the end. Good miss pass from Carter, and there's no way that you're going to stop Sivivatu from that sort of distance.
Well, you could see Vincent Clerc, who scored a try in each of the last 2 tests for France, giving one of them back with a missed tackle. But the defence was already stretched. Sivivatu, his 31st test try in this, his 46th appearance in a test match for New Zealand. Dan Carter missed a couple at Twickenham. That happens very rarely. But he's perfectly on target this time. Came into that Twickenham test having landed 31 of his previous 32. Missed a couple against England.
Well, Damien Try on the outside there, the French fullback got left with 2 men, elected to drift outside, but Clerc couldn't get there. Big next 5-10 minutes for France here. They've got to make sure they're in control and it doesn't affect them too much.
There's the scrum half with a kick off his right foot. Julien Bonner, formerly of Bourgoin, now of Clermont-Auvergne.
There it is!
Oh, they've turned it over at France, picked up by Hoare. A little chip forward coming from Kaino. Back goes Medard. The long pass. There it is for Julien Dupuis. Tranduk. There's the break from Servat, who scored a try in the test win at Dunedin. Tranduk feeds it inside. That's the halfway line. It's important now that France settle themselves. Oh, there's a break in the middle. Wonderful stuff. Ozion looking left and right. He's still going onto Ouedraogo. They've got numbers here. Barcella. Should Barcella have given it? The danger's not gone, though. Numbers out wide, and getting in the way there was an All Black. Referee still playing advantage here. Brad Thorne, it was getting in the way there. Jalzion staying on his feet. Dupuis to Servat. Well, the momentum's gone out of it for a moment, but the crowd in full voice. Turn on by Chabal.
France have just got to stay patient here. Don't rush it, don't get too frantic. Get organised and get numbers in and around that ball.
Ouedraogo it was who took it on another metre.
No, stay back, stay.
Tranduk's in the pocket. He may go for a drop goal here. They may just look for 3. He's right in the pocket.
Dupuis, well, the kick, the pass was poor. From Dupuis back to Tranduk, who was retreating all the time, and he nudged it forward.
He was a mile back. It was a big ask from Dupuis to get the pass, but I think this is the break from Joshon straight up the middle, and following on from this, Richie McCaw is the lazy runner coming back in defence for New Zealand. And I'm surprised, being so close to the touchline and with the referee there, he didn't get penalised for it. It was no question to me, it was lazy running, and McCaw knew what he was doing, and it saved the day for the All Blacks.
Well, there's that pass back from Dupuis, and the fly half Trunduk was retreating all the time.
Good response from France, though, from conceding that try. They won't mind scrums, judging by the first one this evening that New Zealand put in. And can Barcella do the same to Tialata in the second one? Looks like it.
Well, look at that shove from the French, but it's all fragmented. We're going to see it again.
Well, it's got to be done again, and McCaw, interestingly, detached. Well, there's a... I don't know if that's Barcella's blood, but if the referee sees that, he'll have to go off. So Nicholas Mass will be warming up to come on to that. But he's not seen it as yet. But Andrew Hoare, very cleverly, is just saying to the referee, blood on Barcella's face. He doesn't want to know. He's going to carry on. Tialata under pressure on this side. The wall has gone down.
Well, Fabian Barcella impressed both in the tight and the loose against South Africa. It was a stunning performance by the Biarritz man. Well, you can see where there is some blood coming from. The right ear of Nimir Tialata. And you reckon that's probably what is on the left cheek of Barcella, but this time it is France who are penalised.
Well, the crowd don't like that at all. Nor will Marquinet, the senior pro at tight head prop for France. And New Zealand can count themselves a little bit fortunate there, because the New Zealand scrum is in disarray, I would argue.
So a shortened line, two-handed take from Kieran Reid. That's Brad Thorne. There's Cowan again. The try scorer, Sivivatu, who's looking very lively tonight.
Chabal did really well to hold on to him, but it could still be on for New Zealand if they can get quick ball from the breakdown.
Well, Alan Rowland has blown his whistle. There's a little bit of afters over on the far side there. Richie McCaw just getting to his feet, holding his right elbow.
Can't join a ruck dangerously like that, okay? He didn't even make an attempt to move a player away. The ball was this side and he went over the far side. Okay, you want to be action, you take somebody away. Don't do that again.
Well, Tialata's not having the best opening spell in Test match rugby. 15 minutes old. He doesn't want to scrum against Barcella. He's just given away a penalty, which the left-footed Maydar has come across to try and gain some extra ground.
Well, Maydar, you could argue he's playing out of position tonight. Maydar wearing 11, playing on the wing. Plays most of his rugby at fullback these days. Missed the early part of the French domestic season after popping out his shoulder. But Sebastian Chabal getting through some good work there. Well, some interference in the line-out. And Jerome Kaino being singled out.
Well, normally when you make two mistakes in a row, you get punished. Kaino on this occasion, Tialata at the last breakdown. And two mistakes, you get punished normally.
Oh, Jerome Kaino nowhere near that. So, Julien Dupuis on target already once tonight. Knows how to kick under pressure. He took the first kick in that sudden death playoff in the Heineken Cup semi-final for Leicester against Cardiff. Dupuy maintains his 100% record on the night. 2 out of 2.
Well, it was important, I felt, that France scored next after conceding that converted try, and they certainly bounced back and put New Zealand under big pressure.
Carter with the restart, and the touch judge indicates it's straight in.
Yeah, good use of his feet by Dupuy. He put his foot out deliberately there. You can see his right foot is therefore in touch, therefore the ball has gone out on the full, and therefore we come back for a scrum on the halfway, or a kick you can have the option for, but quite rightly the captain du Sautoir has gone for the scrum, and this time it's French put in.
Simon McDowell of Ireland running the touch nearest to us. Over on the far side is George Clancy, the TMO, if he's required tonight, Nigel Whitehouse.
You wonder tactically what France might do from the situation. You've got go either side of the pitch. Are they going to, with confidence, run the ball in hand? Are they going to look to put New Zealand under pressure with a wiper's kick, a grubber kick down the right-hand side into the corner and make New Zealand come from deep?
Well, we're going to have to reset it. And the scrummage has been a bit of a problem this autumn. We saw that rather farcical end to the match at the San Siro involving New Zealand and Italy, which sparked a war of words between the refereeing and various officials.
Okay, there's too much from both sides. Vous avez compris, hein? You had trop comme ça, pas comme ça. Okay, here's your mark. Time on, Nigel.
Alan Rowland just laying down the law to the 2 front rows there.
I'm saying you can't stand up. If you keep standing up, I'm going to penalise somebody here. So let's keep it square rather than standing up, because every scrum, somebody in the front row has stood up.
Touch, pause, engage.
Well, controlled by Bonaire.
Breaking off too early, not attached. Kaino was the man penalised. Number 6, he said, for the All Blacks. And this is within range for Dupuy. And the scrum situation would be a worry, I would say, for the New Zealand pack.
Okay.
So the kick about, what, if you take into account the angle, a little more than 50 metres. And you're looking at Kaino there on the right-hand side of the screen.
You can't just rest a hand on your lock forward. You've got to have your arm on it. And therefore he was not attached to the scrum. And that's why he could cost his team 3 points.
Well, in off the cushion from Julian Dupuy. 3 out of 3. France have the lead.
Well, it's a great kick, bearing in mind it's from halfway. He gets lucky, admittedly, and he's relieved. But he's put France into the lead once again.
So we're through the first quarter. France, 3 penalties off the boot of Julian Dupuy, leading that converted try from Sitiveni Sivivatu. Trunduke, under pressure's been charged down, there's a chance here. Well, Jimmy Cowan was through onto that incredibly quickly.
Trunduke hasn't settled, he's been exposed defensively, which resulted in the first try for New Zealand. He's got away with that one, and you could see it coming a mile off. And the ball just keeps going to the right, away from Jimmy Cowan, who made the charge down. But look how, I mean, that's so obvious it's going to happen, and Trunduke should have pulled out of that.
Well, there are many deeper in-goal areas around the world. If we've been playing on one of those pitches, it may have been costly. A catch there from Damien Try.
Hands out, White! Hands out!
Dupuy. There's Tronduc again. David Marty running across the field. Good tackle there from Conrad Smith. William Servat takes 2 men to take him down.
Good quick ball from France. That's what they want. Quick ball at the breakdown.
Good flat pass there to Fulgence Ouedraogo. Josion. There's Tronduc. Vincent Clerc coming off his wing. Chabal just taking the ball behind him, doing well to keep hold of that. There's Servat, puts his head down, makes a couple of metres, trying to create some momentum for France here. Little chip through from Vincent Clerc, countered easily by Cowan. Here's a chance, Conrad Smith out to Sivivatu. Sivivatu's got round Marty. He's got support inside. Muliaina, it's going to be try number 2. Well, it was wonderfully worked. There was all that talk, wasn't there, that maybe the All Blacks might be a little jaded coming into tonight. Well, no sign of it here.
Wow, what a fantastic counter-attacking try. It was an awful little kick through from France. And once you give this man the outside, then watch out. Muliaina, who started the whole thing way back in his 22, is up on his inside, and there's no cover for France whatsoever. Sivivatu gets round the outside. Meidar doesn't know whether to go in, stay out. In the end, it's too late, whatever he does. And Damien Try is a mile too late. Stop Muliaina.
Well, Sivivatu just did Marty for pace, didn't he? With Muliaina celebrating becoming New Zealand's second most capped player, nudging ahead of Justin Marshall, his 82nd cap.
Well, it was typical New Zealand, because when the little kick went through from France, Jimmy Cowan knows, give it to Muliaina, he decides whether they counter-attack or not. He knew it was on, he knew there was space out left, and he knew that he had the pace of Sivivatu to exploit as well.
Well, for a man of his class, that was quite a bad miss. We saw a couple of them last week.
If you kick badly against New Zealand, this is what happens. They are the best counter-attacking side out there. They know when it's on. Marty despairingly doesn't get to Sivivatu, and then it's just regulation stuff. It's training ground stuff. Draw the man, give it, try.
Man. Scrum.
For 24 minutes gone at the Velodrome. New Zealand with the first 2 tries of the night. France, 3 penalties off the boot of Julien Dupuy.
Hey, crouch. Stay on the mark. The mark is there. Where's the mark? Let's set it up, please. Okay. Crouch.
So keep your eye on this side of the front row. Barcella up against Tialata. And once again, a solid scrum, and the execution there from Tronduc. Well, he finds Vincent Clerc, but Clerc had to wait for that an awfully long time, and it was comfortable for Nils Muliaina.
Yes, it was well covered. Obviously a pre-call move. It wasn't the best kick from Tronduc, because Vincent Clerc was stationary. He wasn't running onto the ball. Not the greatest option from France. I'd like to have seen the ball in hand a bit more, maybe Josion up the middle, maybe take on Carter. Put a line into Carter like they did against Tranduc.
Cowan with the clearance. Cross comes Vincent Clerc. Here's Médard. Dupuy to the captain, Dusautoir. David Marty. Marty sees a hint of a gap. Tackled by his opposite number. Josion. This is a little better from France. As Ouedraogo. Servat with Barcella on his shoulder. That's Tranduc. Tackle from Nonu. There's Dupuy looking for a gap. Marty with him. Penalty to the All Blacks. France coming off their feet.
Well, you've got to say that France, every time New Zealand score, they've scored twice, obviously. They do come back with real purpose in their play. It's a bit frantic, and there they just got overexcited.
Well, Ouedraogo has got a couple of problems there with the contact lens. Two players from the Montpellier club playing for France tonight. Francois Tranduc is the other. As Ouedraogo going into the contact. A few weeks ago, Montpellier were right in the red zone, as they call it in France, in the relegation zone, in the bottom two of the top 14. They won 4 on the bounce, but the bad news for the two Montpellier players is that they were very heavily beaten today at home by Brive. There's Jimmy Cowan. Oh, another break. They're finding gaps everywhere. Oh, the All Blacks. That was Kieran Reid. There's Nonu over the 22. Support on his shoulder again. Penalty to the All Blacks.
Well, if you miss the first up tackles, New Zealand will always get support there. Carter's going to go for goal, I'm sure. Josion was the man desperately trying to get back there, but Kieran Reid, really, you never thought there was a space for the number 8 to get through there. Nonu, Marty saying take him, take him, take him. And Tranduc is going to struggle to really make big inroads. It allows Nonu to attract 2 or 3 players and still get the offload into his Wellington Hurricanes partner, Conrad Smith.
Well, Dan Carter now successful with 37 from his last 41. It's not a bad record, really, is it? But the last 2 games has thrown in a couple of loose ones. Well, he just sneaked it in the right hand upright, extending the New Zealand lead.
Well, they've certainly taken their chances, New Zealand. And France probably territorially have been the more superior.
There's the captain, Richie McCaw. Cowan. Another good break, that time from Carter. Donnelly out to Smith over the halfway line. Sivivatu steps in from his wing. Cowan. Well, they say play to the whistle for a moment. Yannick Josion thought perhaps maybe there was an opportunity.
They're just bundled into touch. He's actually given the knock on against Josion, which is why New Zealand have got the put into the scrum.
Okay, here we are, crouch. Touch, pause, engage.
Picked up by Reed to Cowan. There's Carter, little chip ahead. There's Nonu. The bounce is perfect. Nonu's going. Well, he had Conrad Smith to his right. He chose to step left. Well gathered by Carter. Here's try number 3, is it? Oh, it's spilled forward out of the hands of Tom Donnelly. But danger every time a white jersey gets the ball in the bottom third of the field.
And Carter varying his play. It just came from that little chip over the top that bounced nicely for Nonu. Desperate defence from the French. Might have been Bonaire back there, I think. Couldn't quite see who was the despairing tackle that made that ball go forward. And now the time, first time in the game that the French scrum is potentially under pressure. But they've carved up France 2 or 3 times now, if not more. And that's something the French haven't been able to do, bar the Josion break much earlier on.
Time off, Nigel. Well, I've told him to take the pressure on the hit, okay? Yeah, no, I've asked them, when the hit comes on, take the pressure on the hit, okay? And when it's their feed, I'm asking you to do the same thing, okay?
2 hookers been spoken to. Andrew Hoare on the left, William Servat on the right.
Touch,
there is Fabio Barcella. Well, this time, the All Black pack putting the French under pressure. The ball is loose, and the try has been scored. And Jerome Kaino gets to his feet. Well, in terms of the way things have gone in the scrums tonight, that was right against the run of play. But the All Blacks mean business.
Well, the scrum wheeled right round, and there you can see Kaino was perfectly placed to dot the ball down. But you could argue that the scrum's gone round 90. You could argue that it's collapsed in a heap all over the place. And the French are not enamoured with Alain Roland one iota.
Well, Jerome Kaino admitted earlier this week he was rather surprised to be called up to the starting 15, preferred to Adam Thompson. Thinking that Kaino adds a little bit more physicality. And it's a 7-point score. What a first half hour it's been from New Zealand.
Well, unless the French plug these holes, it doesn't matter how much ball they win, how much territory they gain. As the All Black management team look on, the French have got to tighten up defensively. To concede 22 points in the manner in which they have done is not acceptable.
There's Carter. Damien Try with a catch.
White, you're off your feet.
Dupuis. Josion. Well, numbers here. So that just puts his head down.
Off your feet, stay.
Josion again. There's Chabal. Up towards the 22. Donnelly with a tackle along with Corey Jane. The captain, Dusatoir. Back to Trundu. The attempt at the drop. Well, he struck it well. And it narrows the gap. So they trail now by 10 points. And that drop from almost 40 metres on the Montpellier fly half.
Well, once again, there's an immediate response from the French. Try and do it this time with the 3 points from the drop goal. but they are struggling to make bigger inroads into that all-black defence, and I'm afraid sometimes defences win matches, and you'd have to put your money on New Zealand with the way France are coping defensively at the moment.
Good kick, that one. Carter took it just outside his 22. There's McCall playing scrum half. Nonu goes down, tackled by Servat. Cowan. Carter with the chip ahead. That's intended for Sivivatu. Well, gathered by Vincent Clerc. Little 1-2 with Damien Try. Dupuis. Oh, the kick has got a little bit too much depth, but it's going to run into touch.
Well, France are asking some questions now. Quick one taken though. Not seen that, but this is the kick. But here's the counter-attack again from New Zealand.
Offload to Donnelly. Good hands again from New Zealand. They've got play all the way up from about 4 metres from their own goal line, up to about halfway. Carter with a cross kick. Bounces it superbly to touch, and there'll be a line out. France ball just inside their own 22.
Well, France switched off. It wasn't really an opportunity for a quick line out so close to the New Zealand line, but they spotted that the French had switched off. Livremont on the right there, looking very frustrated. He's in the middle now, but the French coach, he will not be happy with a lot of aspects of his team's performance tonight.
It's been a painful first 40.
White, you stay on the ground until the ball leaves the hand, okay? I've spoken to him about getting it in, but you stay down until it's ill, please.
Well, if you miss first-up tackles like the French have done, it's going to be a long 40. And with the finishes that New Zealand have got, and the pace they've got with the likes of Sivivatu and Muliaina at fullback, it's tough.
Julien Bonner was the line-out option that time. Dupuis. And the touch find by Damien Try, who thinks that maybe the judgment by George Clancy over on the far side was a little conservative. That was a try scorer, Kaino. Ball in the hands of Hoare. That's the pickup by Reid. There's Brad Thorne, who moved to Australia when he was a youngster. Took up league. Played international rugby league for the Kangaroos, before returning to New Zealand about 8 years ago when he started playing rugby union.
Well, this has been an untidy passage in the last few minutes. Clock's almost up in this first half. One more play probably, and it's going to be New Zealand. Is it New Zealand put in? Looks like it is. Or maybe it's not, because Dupuis got the ball.
So into the final minute of the first half at the Velodrome. 3 tries from New Zealand. Long kick there from Meidar, gathered by Mills Muliaina. Sivivatu. That was Corey Jane going to ground. And Sivivatu again. Nonu. There's Cowan again. Sivivatu.
Lost forward, advantage.
Lost forward. Good work there from Ouedraogo. Vincent Clerc. This will be the final play of the half. On to Ouedraogo. Well, it's spilled forward this time by the captain, Thierry Dusatois. And Alan Rowland blows his whistle for half-time. Well, it's been all New Zealand.
Well, they've been ruthless. They've taken their chances. They've had 3 or 4, and they've taken them so well indeed. And France, if you don't tackle, you could really suffer a big one tonight.
So half-time at the Velodrome. 3 tries from New Zealand. They lead France by 22 points to 12. It's been a long old end-of-season tour for the All Blacks, and Graham Henry, the coach, claimed earlier this week that tests in Tokyo, Cardiff, Milan and London had taxed their side. They even allowed, for the first time, squad members to have hotel rooms on their own for this week to try and help rejuvenate them. It appears to have done the trick, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does. They've certainly come out fresh, and they're alert. They're aware of the situations around them, and led as ever by that man Richie McCaw. There's probably a bit more left in the tank. You've got to bear in mind that most of the French team had last week off. He rested an awful lot of players, Libremont, for the Samoa game, so there's no excuses from the French side.
Right, time on, please.
There's David Marty, who was shown a very clean pair of heels by Sivivatu in the first half, on the way to that second try. There's Dupuis with the kick. Good catch from Corey Jane. Jane, who played at fullback against the Italians in Milan. Cowan. Attempts a little chip through. The second kick coming from Conrad Smith, but it's all rather untidy. In the end, it's gone directly into touch from the foot there of Vincent Clerc.
Well, the senior members of this French team have got to stand up and be counted in the opening exchanges in this second half. The likes of Julien Bonner at number 8.
Hey, White, come on.
Has got to step up to the plate somewhat. They've got to get some ball into the likes of Chabal to run at this New Zealand defence, because the New Zealand defence is not being asked enough questions.
Here's the score of the third All Black try. Jerome Kaino. Cowan out to Carter. There's Nonu. He's going through the tackle of Dusatois. Carter going across field, taken down by Ouedraogo. Sivivatu again. There's Reed. Oh, they've got a man free outside here, Corey Jane. Jane steps inside, runs straight into Damien Tribe. Conrad Smith with the hands to Brad Thorne. Oh, snapped up by Tranduc, the fly half. Referee playing advantage here to France. That goes Conrad Smith inside his 22. And he got rid of it just in time. And the referee having a word there with Julien Dupuis.
Away, White, move!
There's Tranduc. Oh, it's a break by Marty.
Maydard just couldn't quite get with him. Otherwise, there's a real chance there for France. They've got to keep this momentum up, but they've lost it in a turnover.
And picked up there by Tony Woodcock. It's a long chase back. There goes Maxime Médard.
You make one mistake, it costs you 30, 40 metres. So about taking the ball in. Trying to put it back his side, but no doubt somebody helped it get back to the New Zealand side. This is Corey Jane. He gets past Médard too easily. Haven't seen much of Corey Jane in the first half, but Médard's way too high. Hand in the face. It's called a handoff. Médard was way too high. Go low, take him out.
Ball goes short to Thorne. It's the captain, Richie McCaw. Carter to Nonu. Been caught in possession there by David Marty. Penalty to France. The ball not released in the tackle.
That's better from France. They were up and at him. Made their tackles count. Nonu, you've got to put him down early. Médard, another really poor kick. I mean, he's made about 12 metres with that. David Marty.
Right down the line, please.
Scraggles Nonu to the ground. Tranduc there making sure it was going to come his way, the decision. Livremont still looking unhappy in the middle there. He's going to have to think about his bench at some stage to try and get some real impetus into his play.
Well, there's Vincent Clerc. Clerc's got Marty alongside. There's David Marty, the long pass. Out to Médard, stepping in. Conrad Smith with the tackle. 3 metres to go for France. Well, that all-black line hasn't been crossed now for more than 5.5 hours. 35 minutes into the Bledisloe Cup clash in Tokyo was the last time an opposing team scored a try against New Zealand.
Well, it was almost a replica of what happened with New Zealand in attack in the first half. This time France make big inroads. In some ways it was a pity that Vincent Clerc only had David Marty to pass to. He hasn't got the gas to get there. Had it been Médard, it might have been a different story.
Well, this time it's a penalty to the men in blue.
It wasn't when Kaino scored, was it? When the scrum went round. The French may well argue. Decision time for Dusautoir. What does he do? Put 3 points on the board? I suspect that's what he should do. Indeed he does. He's not going to put it in the corner. He's going to ask Julien Dupuis to get aside another 3 points.
On the line, on behind the line.
If successful, that'll make the gap 7 points, a converted try.
Carter misses the tackle. That's where the hole was. That's Marty there. He hasn't got the gas to get away from Muliaina. And the cover scrags Médard to the ground. And the ball's really slow. It doesn't come out for the French to keep it all going.
And the advantage line crossed there by Yannick Josian as well. So 3 from 3, Julien Dupuis. I'm afraid now it's 3 from 4.
Yes, looked like he snatched at it. Oh, here come the bench. Livremont has been doing some thinking. The first one, Sarzeski at hooker.
Yes, the cover boy from Stade Francais comes on. There he is, Dimitri Jarjevski. Still just 26, yet this is 41st cap. Carter goes long. There's Tranduc. Chabal. Straight into Kaino and McCaw, who try and turn him.
Well, he's lucky to get the ball, Chabal. His ball presentation was poor there. It's all very well head down and charging, but you've got to protect the ball and look after it. Here he goes, head down. Kano first in, McCall second in. Brad Thorne comes in with a bit of a shoulder charge. McCall scrags him down and almost puts him on the wrong side. Kano's right arm wasn't exactly going around to tackle him though, was it?
Hang on a second. Okay, you and Propper's got an obligation, and on the impact he's got to stay up. He went straight in and down, and that's what caused the thing to go down.
He's got to have something pushing it. So.
Fine, and if he has, I'll deem if that is the case or not.
Strong words there from Alain Roland to the All Black captain, Damien Traoré. Sets up the line-out just inside the All Black 22, and it will be a France throw-in.
France have got to start making use of this. They've really got to keep the pressure on in this bottom third of the pitch for New Zealand. Keep asking the questions. We mentioned at the top about Pickamoles and Harry Nordicke and having more runners, but that's a shocking line-out from the new man.
All he found was Tom Donnelly. And a very long kick. Quickly thrown in by Traoré. Puts a little bit of pressure on Vincent Clerc. Good kick, though, from the right wing. Quickly thrown in by Muliaina. There's Carter.
Out.
Oh, it's put down. Here's a chance for the All Blacks. Quick ball. There's Hoare. Woodcock. Penalty to New Zealand.
He had his hands on the ball, Udrago, seen by the referee. What do you reckon it was? Minute 30 ago, there was a French line-out just inside the 22 of the All Blacks. And now look where they are, facing another 3 points deficit. Damien Traoré not collecting it cleanly, hands in the wrong position. And as ever, New Zealand, a great chasing side, put the pressure on. And the ultimate pressure will be this kick at goal from Carter. He's missed one from this area in the game tonight, but it just shows you if you don't keep New Zealand under pressure, they'll make you pay.
And it was perhaps just as well that the first two pairs of hands that ball went into there were first of all Andrew Hoare and then Tony Woodcock. Otherwise it could have been even more expensive. As Wayne Smith in the middle, on his left Graham Henry. The lead is 13 points.
Well, Udrago was made to pay, and it's New Zealand that make the first inroads into the scoreboard in the second half.
Well, Sylvain Martinet, the old man of the French side, leaves the field. Also a change in the second row. On comes the former captain, Lionel Nallet. Sébastien Chabal, the man replaced. There's Damien Traoré. Offloads to Vincent Clerc. Referee playing advantage here to France. Taken forward by the captain, Dusautoir. Now into Udrago. Does well to stay on his feet. Well, there you can see Alain Roland holding his hand out. And this time, it was an All Black coming in from the side.
Richie McCaw.
When you're on your feet,
Richie
you
McCaw.
also play the ball over here. There was already a ruck, okay? So that's two infringements.
Well, 2 infringements, Mr. Roland. What are you going to do for the third one? Could have
you
told him.
To take the advantage. Shot.
Going for goal, says Dusatois. It was blatantly obvious what McCall did there and coming from the side to prevent the ball coming out France's way. Well, Uedraogo does well to evade a couple of the New Zealand defenders, but they can't really get enough momentum, France. They haven't really looked like... We've had a couple of chances to score tries, but they're just not being precise enough. They're going to need to score tries to win this game. Goal kicking won't do it alone.
Well, he swung it wide, the left-hand upright this time as Julien Dupuis. Snatched at it again.
That's 2 this half, isn't it? That's 2 this half, isn't it?
He doesn't do all the kicking for his club.
54-12, is that right?
Farley Olshig, the South African, who alternates at 9 with Dupuis there, does rather more place kicking. So Carter goes long again as Maxime Médard comes out of his own 22. Good catch from Jane just before he gets thumped by the France captain, but that's another wonderful break. Little chip and gather as well by Carter. Sublime stuff. Muliaina offloads to Reid. Reid, well, McCaw fairly was waiting there to gather what could have been the try-scoring tackle. Well, that was glorious stuff from New Zealand. And have France turned it over?
Stay.
Well, this is a very different New Zealand performance to anything we've seen over the course of the last 4 weeks. It would be fair to say that they maybe got out of second, perhaps just into third gear last week at Twickenham, when I suppose critics might say that England rather dragged them down to something closer to their level, which may seem a little unkind. But tonight, in good conditions, the All Blacks have been something else, haven't they?
They've said all along that this was their final for their tour. This was the one that they wanted to win. They saw this one as the biggest challenge on their tour, and they're certainly up for it. That's make no mistake about that. They just couldn't quite finish that one off. McCaw unluckily fell over, because otherwise he was in under the posts.
Touch, pause, engage.
Once again, the front rows just pop up, so we're going to have to reset that one.
Don't come around, White. Don't come around. Get that hand off the ground. Don't come around. You stay square. There's your mark. Crouch.
The referee just telling the front rows to stay square.
Touch, pause, engage.
Well, the New Zealand scrum certainly got better as the game's worn on, because in the first 10 minutes or so it wasn't good at all.
Don't go through the mark, okay? I told them to take the hit. Don't go through the mark. There's your mark. Crouch. Touch, pause, engage. Stay on, state.
Bonaire controls the ball. And the clearance kick, not entirely convincing, but Damien Traoré from right on his own goal line, or dead ball line, does manage to get the ball out. There's Morgan Parra warming up. He'll be coming on, presumably at scrum half, although he's played quite a bit of rugby at fly half as well. That was out from McCaw. A little bit of a fumble there. Ball not going forward. That's Tialata. Picked up by Hoare. Cowan. Kaino. Up to the 22. Cowan, there's Hoare again. Carter goes himself, rolls through the tackle, offloads, tries to find Nonu. Gathered by Cowan. Nonu plays scrum half. Runs across field. That was an important tackle coming in from Ouedraogo, and the ball being held in the tackle there.
Well, you saw Dan Carter there at his very, very best. Just a little half break, bit more perhaps, but he offers things that the likes of Tran Duke doesn't. Tran Duke hasn't challenged in those sorts of areas at all. And France were holding on there. You look at the French team now, who's picking them up, who's driving them forward. It doesn't look as though there's that sense of urgency, and more importantly, that belief that they can turn this game around.
So on comes Morgan Parra. And off goes Julien Dupuis. Back to Szarzewski. He runs straight into Tialata. First touch from Morgan Parra. Tran Duke. Well gathered by Muliaina. A little kick from Carter, just finds Vincent Clerc, who was well positioned. There is a chance perhaps for France. David Marty right out on the far side, but I think he was in front of the ball. Good hit from Conrad Smith, which brought that attack to a halt. There's Parra, Josion, Tran Duke, man and ball, Sivivatu, turnover, here comes Carter. Carter's still going, tries to offload to Sivivatu, and that was a crucial intervention from France. That was Josion to Ouedraogo, who was thumped by Kieran Reid.
New Zealand are certainly lining up the French guys and absolutely piling into them. They're putting huge pressure on France and saying, you can't get out of your 22, can you?
And that ball at the moment, a bit like a hot potato for France. Damien tried, just couldn't get rid of that quick enough.
That's the first one from Sivivatu. Carter picks up the crumbs and makes something of it, as ever. From broken play, they are so dangerous, New Zealand. They're unique in that way, in terms of the way they take advantage of the opposition's mistakes.
New Zealand in possession, just outside the France 22. We're inside the final quarter of the match. 13 points, the All Black lead. It's very comfortable at the moment. Back for the attempt at the drop. Didn't get hold of it entirely. It's come back off the bar. That doesn't happen too often in the game of rugby. Now the All Blacks almost immediately back on the counter. That was neatly picked up. A little chip ahead by Corey Jane. Conrad Smith was impeded. And it's going to be an All Black try and an individual effort from Corey Jane. But where was the France defence?
Well, when the drop kick attempt came off the crossbar, Damien Tri could have kicked it anywhere. It was just an appalling kick. Desperation on the French bench, but it was a shocking kick. Just as this is Josion, I think, being handed off by Corey Jane, virtually half his side. And Jane has the vision to see that nobody's at home in behind. Great pick-up too from him. It was Josion. That's an appalling attempt at a tackle. The rest is a formality. He's got Kieran Reid, he's got Conrad Smith in support. And France got what they deserved there, really. It was awful play by them.
There was so much said over the course of the last couple of weeks about just how few tries this New Zealand defence has given up in recent times. Well, the attack hasn't scored too many either until tonight. That's try number 4, the bonus point try, if you like. Well, Mark Livremont may well want to conceal his eyes.
Well, he looks pretty lost and bewildered. Drago goes off as the latest player to leave the field of play. But with 17 minutes to go, I tell you what, if the French don't buck their ideas up, this could be a 50-pointer.
Okay, Nigel, time on, please.
Along comes the player from, well, he hails from Grenoble, and now the unforced errors creeping in. Jan David has come on in place of Yannick Yozion, so we have one Toulouse player for another, and also there Julian Puricelli, originally from Grenoble, who plays his rugby down in Basque Country for Bayonne.
And interesting with that kick going out in the full, how the French crowd started jeering. They've lost their patience with this French team and are not happy with the manner in which they're succumbing to this, what would appear to be inevitable defeat. And now with the cushion of this big lead, Graham Henry can make some changes and give some guys a run out from the bench.
Owen Franks and Anthony Boris just warming up. Picked up by Kieran Reid into McCaw, the tackle from the France captain. We've still got 16 minutes to go. There's Kleino. Jimmy Cowan there, the All Black scrum half. A man who in his life has stared down a few personal demons. Has now consolidated his place as the #1, New Zealand #9. There he is, Jimmy Cowan. There's Carter into Nonu. A tackle from Julien Bonner. Picked up by Cowan, the scrum half, up to the 22. Taken on by Tialata. Reid. Donnelly. Donnelly, who had a relatively late introduction to Test rugby, just short of his 28th birthday. Well, the touch judge over on this side has got his flag raised, George Clancy. Play continues. Nonu offloads to Smith. Smith, can he go all the way? Conrad Smith held up a metre out. Well, they're all blue jerseys there. And the referee has blown his whistle. And there is a Frenchman down and hurt. And it looks like Morgan Parra.
Well, once again, New Zealand showing their speed of thought, their sharpness, the manner in which they can beat players. And indeed, it's Morgan Parra who's been trying to tackle Conrad Smith and save that try, who's taken a big whack.
Number three, sub. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that the French have, oh, that was a clash of heads. There was two players coming in from different sides, and that's what caused it.
And it's Jan David making the tackle there. He's only just come on. Well, Morgan Parra, he's on his feet.
I wouldn't say the French have given up, but I would say that the French are in total disarray. There doesn't seem to be the likes of Dusatoir and some of the other senior players really rising to the challenge here and making sure that if we're going to lose to New Zealand tonight, we lose in a proper fashion. But at the moment, there's only one side in it and has been for the last 15 minutes or so.
New Zealand just preparing to make those two changes to the front five, and Nimia Tialata coming off. He's replaced by Owen Franks. Anthony Borridge coming on for the senior citizen of the New Zealand side, Brad Thorne.
Tialata certainly bounced back from the opening mauling he got in the first couple of scrums. And speaking of scrums, this could be rather beneficial for New Zealand.
Oh, Jimmy Cowan there just dummying the put in, quickly taken by Morgan Parra.
Hands out wide! Push back.
Here's Parra. To Marty. Long pass out to Medar. And the kick sliced off the outside of the left foot there of Maxime Medar.
Well, they call him mercurial, but I'm afraid he's been rather far from that tonight. Not a lot has gone right for Maxime Medar. I'm not convinced he's a winger at all. Either play him at full-back or don't play him at all, I would argue.
Nonu, Smith, Sivivatu stepping off his wing. The support from Nonu. Cowan. That's Franks. Franks started against England last week. Failure there to release in the tackle.
It was interesting how Morgan Parra tapped and went from the previous free kick from the scrum, but it wasn't in unison with the French team. They can't go in ones and twos, they've got to go as a whole unit, and this time they elect to kick it into touch. The crowd making one last rousing level of encouragement for their team.
In all honesty, it's all about saving face now, isn't it, for France? This is one stadium where France don't lose. They would appear to hold all the aces, or at least would have done coming into the night. They've won 9 of 10 test matches at the Velodrome.
Okay, it's more.
Well, that rolling maul does nothing for France at all. They've lost the ball now. It's a New Zealand scrum. Again, the unity wasn't there and the organisation wasn't there at all.
Despite that good record here, France, they haven't done too well against New Zealand in recent times in other parts of the country. New Zealand won the last time they were here in Paris in 2006. And before that, on the same tour, when they put almost 50 points on France at Lyon. Good hands there from Corey Jane, the hack through from Conrad Smith, but the referee pulling New Zealand up for a nudge forward.
Yeah, Corey Jane just trying to sort of tap it into Muliaina coming through. But it's pretty much walking pace for France now, isn't it? There's no real sense of urgency.
In fact, those last 3 contests between New Zealand and France in this country in 2006, 2 of them, the last one when New Zealand won 23-11, but before that, New Zealand winning 47-3 in Lyon, that same week 3 years ago, and then 5 years ago at this time of year when New Zealand won by 45 points to 6. That was in Paris. So wins in the 40s for New Zealand against France in this part of the world, not unknown. They're not there yet, but they do at least have another 10 minutes to go.
Touch, pause, engage.
Picked up by Bonaire. That was Tran Duke. Jan David on now, of course. He started the game against South Africa. Oh, they've turned it over. They have New Zealand, Cowan. And they've got plenty of space out wide here. As Corey Jane has really come into the game, scoring that 4th try. Cowan, Carter. There's Nonu. Boric picking it up. Anthony Boric, all 6'7" of him. A little chip forward. Oh, and popping out is Conrad Smith. And Conrad Smith touches down. And that is as soft as they come. Well, things spilling over on this side of the pitch here. And you can see there Morgan Parra. Well, how is the referee going to deal with this? Anthony Boric has got his arm around the neck of Morgan Parra. David Marty just having a few words with Richie McCaw, who shakes his head. A few of the fellow New Zealand squad members just having a bit of a chuckle on the side. Well, the try has been given, but Alan Rowland just consulting there with George Clancy.
Well, it wasn't very edifying, was it? Obviously, frustrations have come to the fore. Du Sautoy, the captain, and I suspect Richie McCaw, yes, the All Black captain, are going to be spoken to in general, I suspect, as opposed to them being the two culprits.
I don't know what started it. C'est pas qui a commencé. Okay, too many people, trop de personnes. Sifflet, whistle was done. C'est déjà fait. Okay. On n'a pas beaucoup de temps qui reste. Prends le moment. Take time now. Talk to your team. S'il vous plaît, parle avec l'équipe. Si ça recommence et une autre chose comme ça, quelqu'un va sortir. Vous comprenez? Understand? Anybody else does it again, they're gone. Okay? Take time while you have it. Parle avec eux. Time back on, please, Nigel.
Well, the referee just saying go back and have a chat with your two teams. I think there's probably an element of between them. The referee and the touch judge unable to identify a single miscreant. And there we are, Conrad Smith just popping down an unguarded short side. And I bet he wishes tries in Test rugby were all as simple as that.
Well, I bet he does. He's a very clever footballer, as Conrad Smith, and he's the perfect foil to the big man that is Ma Nonu on his inside. He's very much a thinking rugby player. And he's defended really well tonight and read the defensive situation. The All Black management team there, and Carter can add the extras.
Super strike from Dan Carter. Well, Snaky Smith, as they call him. That sums up the French night from the replacement hooker.
They've been on 20 minutes.
Oh,
that's how he feels.
So it's a change at half-back. Off comes Dan Carter. Corey Flynn is on. Also on will be Stephen Donald. Maxi Médard comes off. Cedric Hamons. So one short of the 40s. 7 minutes remaining at the Velodrome. It's been a clinical night, a clinical performance from the men in white. And here they are running with the ball again. The most recent try scorer there, Conrad Smith, was bouncing off his captain. The ball swept wide that time by Luke McAllister.
It looks as though New Zealand aren't going to stop at 39. They want as many as they possibly can against this now very bedraggled French team.
There is Cedric Hamons. Pumped high by Damien Try, who tries to gather his own kick. Picked up by Czajewski. 10 metres inside the All Black half. Morgan Parra in at scrum half. A little chip ahead, charge down. Still France ball. Back to Parra. Duke there being caught in possession. That's the halfway line. 5.5 minutes to go. Break forward from Nalle. Feeds inside to his captain, Corey Jane. Gets an important touch. Here comes McCaw. The tackle from Bonaire. The All Blacks looking for another try here. Long boot forward from McAllister.
It was a huge boot, wasn't it? Inside his 22. And the French have the long walk back. One of the few balls that Muliaina has not dealt with this evening. Took his eyes off it in the end. And that just bounced very kindly for the French to take it forward.
So change at scrum half for the All Blacks. Off goes Jimmy Cowan. On comes Andy Ellis. Taken there by Botticelli. Dusautoir just drops his shoulder and drives on, leading by example, the France captain. It's turned over here. There's McAllister into Sivivatu. He's got Ellis. Can Sivivatu go all the way on his own? A metre to go here for New Zealand. This is in danger of becoming rather embarrassing for the France team here. And tempers getting frayed again.
Yes, Owen Franks. Owen Franks has got a yellow. The referee did say after the last skirmish that the next one that does it will walk. He may have been retaliating, but he's walking. Well, he's not exactly walking, but he's off the field anyway, and he won't be playing any more part in this match, and he only came on as a replacement as well.
And Cedric Haymans just getting a bit of treatment there. The camera dwelt a little there on Nicolas Mas. Mas, the replacement tight head. I think that was a coming together between the two front row men. Let's see if we can see Nicolas Mas here. Well, we saw an arm there, didn't we, which may well have been wearing a blue jersey. Oh, the ball knocked forward there in the line-out.
Well, they'll have to get Tialata on now. With Franks off, they've got to bring Tialata back on and sacrifice somebody else in the forward pack. If Tialata's gone down the tunnel and sitting in a bath, it could be quite interesting.
It's been a happy night for Dan Carter on his return to the south of France. He made quite an impact in his short trip down to Perpignan, a trip that was curtailed by injury, of course. And a change there in the second row. Off goes Tom Donnelly.
Yeah, well, he's been sacrificed for Tialata to come back on to make sure this isn't an uncontested scrum.
Yeah, there you see Tialata packing down over on the tight head side. Will be taken there by Parra.
It's all pretty lateral, isn't it? There's no precision, there's no angles, nothing really threatening the New Zealand defence from France now. It's just going from side to side, really, and it could be another turnover.
Penalty to France. The All Blacks coming off their feet. Last man up there, the All Black captain.
I take my hat off to McCaw. 78 minutes gone. His team are winning 39-12, and he doesn't change one iota. He's absolutely all over the place, driving his men forward, leading by example. Yes, he comes in from the side. Yes, he goes over the top, and he doesn't get penalised enough. But that's the class player that he is.
Well, how must that man leave Ramon field tonight? Just as he felt that things were coming together. He's been accused in the past of being rather erratic with his selections. Appears to have settled on what his strongest 15 is, apart from injuries, and it's all come apart tonight. Well, in the final minute, and France at least on the front foot. That's Nicolas Mas. Para. Para having to turn around and gather that. And a man straight through there, Richie McCaw. Picked up by Porticelli. Ellis.
It's on here. It's on big time for New Zealand here.
Well, back goes Damien Try, and he just has to side-foot it into touch. There is Stephen Donald following up.
Well, that typifies France's night, really. They've really struggled to keep the ball in continuity.
And Alan Rowland has put France out of their misery. Congratulations between the two sets of coaches. It's been a good night for Dan Carter. Well, let's first of all, Jamie, reflect on tonight. People were building up the hopes of France. Well, New Zealand have done a real job on them, haven't they?
Well, they've been very clinical. The chances they had, they took. They made sure they challenged France in the right area, and by that I mean they hit the Trans-Duc channel and asked serious questions there. When the French kicked badly, Muliaina was the perfect man to analyse the situation and evaluate whether it was on. And once again, he got it right more times than not. And the great try that he scored, that he started from their own 22, typifies New Zealand's awareness, and their speed of thought was far greater than that of the French.
And there has been encouragement, hasn't there, for European rugby over the course of the last couple of weeks. I think of the France victory over South Africa. We've had that surprise up at Murrayfield, where Scotland beat Australia. And, of course, we've also had the win of the Irish against South Africa. Where are we left, really, in Europe?
Still lagging behind, sadly. Ireland apart, maybe, although they just drew against Australia a couple of weeks ago when people thought they might win that one as well. But not really. We're not showing the same try-scoring abilities that the Southern Hemisphere sides have, and their clinical approach to it. When they get near that try line, they score points.
Well, 5 tries, and that was Mils Muliaina, and that came off an initial mistake, didn't it, from France? The stray kick ahead, and New Zealand turning it around and just running the ball almost the full length of the field. And this perhaps was the one try with a bit of controversy about it. The scrum having, I think, turned through the 90. But look at this, Corey Jane, almost unopposed, wasn't he?
Yeah, but at this level, you can't have experienced guys like Yannick Yozil just being brushed aside. Well done, Corey Jane. Don't get me wrong, he took his try really well, but he just swatted Jozil away.
And there's Conrad Smith, unopposed down the blind side. Try number 5. New Zealand falling short of the 40 points, but it's been a tremendous conclusion, hasn't it?
It certainly have. They'll be absolutely rapt. They finished this tour in this style.
So there is from Jamie Salmon, myself, Martin Gillingham, 39 points to 12. It's New Zealand's night.